When did you get in?
About 2 hours ago.
Straight from the airport,
Yes,
pretty much.
yes,
So what are you
indeed.
doing in town?
We're here basically to build the strong connections we have between Hong Kong and Dublin in particular. We have a very good relationship the last 2 or 3 years. We have a 5-year strategy for financial services we launched a couple of months ago. Our minister launched it here in Hong Kong. It was one of the key centres we have. Just to build upon that, it's a selling exercise, basically getting people to invest in Ireland, getting Irish people to invest in Hong Kong. So it's basically telling the good news story from Dublin.
What's the pitch then?
So the pitch basically is we're doing very well on fintech, innovation, technology, etc. One of the strong strengths that Ireland has. Another strong strength would be talent. You know, very highly educated, very flexible, adaptable population. And again, basically saying, look, there's a good chance to invest in Ireland, part of the EU, big benefits to investors coming in from Hong Kong or China, worldwide.
Right. But everyone has that pitch. Everyone says that. What's different?
We're better.
In what way?
We're better because very small open economy like Hong Kong, very flexible.
Right.
We have to keep very nimble all the time. We have completely reinvented ourselves since our financial crisis. Despite Brexit coming along, we've reinvented again. It's a very good place to do business, very successful. Again, because we're part of the EU, you have a huge market there to do business.
Remind us, what's the 5-year plan? The key gist of it, for those who probably missed it. It was a couple of months ago.
It was. Our minister was out here in September, one of the key centres, financial services centres, to launch it in Hong Kong. And so the key thing basically is Ireland has done very well. We have to go back and look at what we did well, how we could improve it for the future. And basically, it's just to keep our offering all the time, keep it fresh. And one of the key things is just to say, look, in 5 years' time, if we don't continue working, we may not have a financial services industry. This is changing so quickly. And one of the big changes is, again, technology, fintech, innovation, etc. And we're one of the lead roles in terms of that globally. And that's what we're trying to do, is keep reinventing ourselves. Because this is a very competitive industry, as you know.
Right. And you look at what the Hong Kong government's doing. We're here right now. It took me about 10 minutes just to walk across the hall. And you see what they're trying to sort of incubate here as well. Specifically in Ireland, what are you guys doing to incubate that talent?
We're doing something very, very similar here. We have 18 innovation hubs now in Ireland at the moment. A very close connectivity. We've the 10 leading global information technology companies in the world are based in Ireland. The leading banks, the leading financial services, trying to get the two of them to get into a marriage together. So we would sell ourselves as a link from into Europe, North America. Same with Hong Kong as a link into Asia and into China again. And that's why we're here, because we have a very close connection, almost a bridge between two continents.
I want to move to the Brexit story, because for you guys, it almost cuts both ways as well. I mean, I remember when in the months after the initial referendum, Dublin was one of the places that people talked about. That's where people are going to migrate to in terms of jobs as well. Looking back now, to what extent did that story actually happen?
In terms of financial services, we've done very well. We've got the largest number of projects over a lot of countries. Ourselves and Frankfurt did the best. They did the best in jobs, we did the best in projects. We have got a lot of people coming in from the UK, people coming in from China, from North America, Australia, all over the world who never came before because of Brexit. Again, because you can passport from Dublin into the EU. And the companies we've got have been across all the areas. Asset management, banks, insurance, data, fintech, etc. So we have a very wide offering. So 12 areas in action at any one time. So we've done extremely well. Very, very pleased, you know. And it's looking well for the next 3 to 4 years again.
And is that stable money? Is that temporary money? In other words, if we do...
Yeah, it's stable money, and it's high-end work, high-end jobs. We're basically trying to build for the future. You know, sometimes we're happy getting 20 jobs, 30 jobs, but they're good quality, high stickability jobs, we call it. So that we can build on the future then. 20 jobs can turn into 80 jobs, 100 jobs, 200 jobs, etc. over time.
We'll finally get Brexit, formally, 31st. Now, we don't know how that looks like. We'll need to talk to each other and sort of negotiate how the relationship will pan out as well. For you guys, what's the best case scenario?
The best case scenario is to have, it happens on the 31st of January, then to come up with a very good, flexible deal for both sides, both UK and Europe, at the end of next year, at the end of this year, at the end of December. That's 11 months. It's a very, very hard piece of work to do in that period. You know, we want something that's fair to both sides, that's fair and flexible. So, you know, UK does well, EU does well as well, and if the EU does well, Ireland does well.
But do you think the UK will actually get the same sweet deal that they had previously to this as well? I mean, we can all hope that it's going to be fair and reasonable and good to both sides as well, but net.
It's going to be difficult. Okay. I mean, the key thing is to have a very level playing field between both sides as well. because again, the EU has left the UK has left the EU. They can't have the same rules and regulations, the same benefits as if they were inside, and you have to realise that. And again, I think in 5 years' time or so, they're beginning to realise what they've lost, because the EU is a big market. It's a vibrant market as well too.
Just to wrap things up here as well, longer term. Obviously, we don't know how that's going to look like still. You have Dublin, you have London, you have Frankfurt, and then to a lesser extent, in some regards, you have Amsterdam as well. How do those things fit together as well? How does Dublin fit into all of that?
I think the key thing is that whatever happens to the UK, the links between Dublin and London are very, very, very strong. And what we always say that no matter what happens to the City of London, it will still be there, it will still be vibrant. We have 95 flights a day between London and Dublin, a lot of people going back and forth, commuters back and forth, a lot of UK companies setting up in Dublin. We now have 500 lawyers from London have set up in Dublin in the last year. So again, the linkage between Dublin and London will still be very, very strong. And then you have other places like Paris, Frankfurt, etc. So you have a number of centres actually working in a very small space. So we think we're well positioned to do well out of that.
It seems to me, just looking at the other side of that, it's almost like basic math. Is there enough for everyone to go around? In other words, are we looking at a lesser London if we can contextualize that as well because of the changes that are happening?
You see, when we started off, when we looked at the jobs, one third of the jobs might go back, we'll say, to North America or Asia.
Okay.
1/3 would just simply vanish with technology, etc. And 1/3 was up for grabs. Now we've got a lot of those jobs there. But as time goes on, technology coming a lot of work is going to change there. We think we're very well positioned, along with maybe 1 or 2 other countries, to make the most of the future. So technology comes in, you could get 20% of jobs gone. We still get those jobs there, we get the work there. UK still is well positioned as well, a lot of innovation there, a lot of fintech innovation hubs, a bit like Hong Kong as well. So we think places like New York, Dublin, Hong Kong, London will do well for the future.
Is there a specific type of job that you see as almost naturally migrating to your part of the world as well,
at the moment,
or is it almost cross?
Well, the ones it's across the board, but so the ones that are doing very well at the moment are fintech, sustainable finance, asset management. A lot of broker-dealers now coming in, big banks as well.
Okay.
We've got some of the leading banks that have come in the last 4 or 5 years. And then we have the normal funds business which we normally have all the time as well. But it really is fintech is one of the big ones, sustainable finance, green finance, climate finance, those areas for the future.
How long are you going to be in town for?
Until Wednesday, 3 days.
Okay, 3 days. And I would imagine you'll be in touch with a lot of Chinese investors as well.
Yeah, we have my colleagues here in Hong Kong have put together a very, very hard-working schedule. We have a lot of breakfast meetings, lunch meetings with investors looking at Ireland and the EU, and some Irish companies here as well too. And then it's basically Ireland is a good place to do business, Hong Kong is a good place to do business, and try to get the two of them to marry together.
And would you be willing to share with me any specific Chinese names that are probably looking at bringing money your way?
I'd like to tell you, but I'll be get into trouble. But no, certainly we've had successes already. The problem is with potential companies is that they make a decision, they have to talk to shareholders, etc., and regulators.
If I had to ask you what the biggest risk was of putting money your side of the world, what would that be? What's the honest answer?
In terms of Ireland, I suppose, a bit like Hong Kong, we're a small, open, vibrant economy. And the problem is, if you have, we'll say, trade wars, downturn in the global economy, it's countries like Hong Kong and Ireland will get a cold first, but then we recover very quickly afterwards.